I should have known something was wrong when Toby wouldn't look me in the eyes. Not during the toast, not when everyone clinked glasses, not even when his mother hugged me and whispered, "Finally, a daughter." But there I was, floating through our engagement party in a cloud of champagne bubbles and fairy lights, my left hand suddenly heavier with the weight of the diamond that had appeared on my finger just 3 hours earlier. The proposal had been perfect, private and intimate at our favorite restaurant, followed by this surprise gathering of our closest friends and family at our apartment. "You look happy," Hazel said, appearing at my elbow with that smile I'd trusted since college. "It's a good look on you, Isabel." I squeezed her arm. "I can't believe you kept this secret. The party, everything. What are best friends for?" She winked, her perfume, something new and expensive, lingering between us. Toby planned everything down to the last detail. I spotted him across the room, deep in conversation with my brother Keith. Something in Toby's posture seemed off, shoulders too rigid, hand clutching his drink too tightly. I chalked it up to nerves. Planning a surprise engagement party would stress anyone out. "I need to use the bathroom," I told Hazel, squeezing past clusters of well-wishers. Our bathroom was down the hall from the living room where everyone had gathered. I slipped inside, grateful for a moment alone to breathe. My reflection looked back at me, flushed cheeks, bright eyes, lipstick slightly faded. I was happy, truly happy. I reached for my lipstick in the medicine cabinet and knocked over Toby's aftershave. As I went to write it, I noticed something had fallen behind the sink, a small black notebook I didn't recognize. I shouldn't have picked it up. In another life, I would have left it there. But I did pick it up, and I did open it. The first page was blank. The second contained a sketch, a tattoo design, a delicate lotus flower with intricate patterns flowing from it. Beautiful work. I flipped through more pages, admiring the artistry, wondering why Toby had never mentioned an interest in tattoo designs. Then I saw it, a note in the margin of one sketch. "For Hazel, inner thigh placement, discuss positioning." My stomach dropped. I flipped faster. More designs, more notes, dates, times. "Hazel loves this one. Hazel's skin took the ink beautifully. Next session with H, finished shading on lower back piece." The dates went back 8 months. A knock at the door made me jump. "Isabel, you okay in there?" It was Kira, concern in her voice. "Fine," I called back, my voice unnaturally high. "Just fixing my makeup." I shoved the notebook into my purse and splashed cold water on my face. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely turn the faucet. When I emerged, Kira gave me a strange look. "You sure you're okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." "I'm fine," I lied. Just overwhelmed. Happy tears. I moved through the party on autopilot, nodding and smiling while my mind raced. Inner thigh placement. Hazel's skin took the ink beautifully. 8 months of secret meetings. I found myself watching them, Toby and Hazel, from across the room. Had they always stood that close? Had I missed the way his eyes followed her? The way she touched his arm when she laughed? "Time for another toast," someone called out. Toby made his way to me, sliding an arm around my waist. His touch, once comforting, now burned. "To my beautiful fiancé," he said, raising his glass. His eyes finally met mine, and I searched them for guilt, for deception. "I can't wait to spend forever with you." Everyone cheered. I forced my lips into a smile. "Speech from the bride-to-be," Hazel called out, and all eyes turned to me. I raised my glass, mind blank except for those damning words. Inner thigh placement. 8 months. My voice faltered. "I never expected to find someone who knows me so completely." Toby squeezed my waist, mistaking my pause for emotion. "To think I trusted you both so absolutely," I continued, watching confusion flicker across his face. "It's really illuminating to discover what's been happening right under my nose." A strange hush fell over the room. Hazel's smile froze. "Isabel?" Toby whispered. I pulled away from him. "I need some air." I moved toward the balcony, but as I passed Hazel, I couldn't help myself. "Nice tattoo collection you must have," I murmured, just loud enough for her to hear, especially the inner thigh one. Her glass slipped in her hand, liquid sloshing over the rim. The color drained from her face. I walked out onto the balcony, the cool night air hitting my feverish skin. Behind me, I heard urgent whispers, Hazel's voice rising slightly. "She knows," before the door slid shut. I stood there alone, staring at the city lights blurring through my tears, the diamond on my finger catching the light like a warning I'd failed to see. 8 months. My fiancé and my best friend, the two people I trusted most in the world. The engagement ring suddenly felt like a shackle. I spent that night at Kira's apartment, curled on her couch with a blanket that smelled like fabric softener and sympathy. My phone buzzed relentlessly until I finally turned it off. 27 missed calls, 43 text messages, all from Toby and Hazel. "You should eat something," Kira said, setting a mug of tea beside me. Morning light filtered through her curtains, revealing the disaster I'd become, still in my party dress, makeup smeared beneath my eyes. "How long?" I asked, my voice hoarse from crying. "How long do you think they've been—" Kira sat beside me. "I don't know, Isabel. I honestly had no idea." I nodded, picking up my phone and turning it back on. The notifications flooded in immediately. "Isabel, please call me. It's not what you think. We need to talk. Please come home. I can explain everything. I love you." I scrolled through Toby's desperate pleas until I reached Hazel's messages. "I know how this looks, but please let me explain. The tattoos aren't what you think. 15 years of friendship. You owe me a chance to explain." I owe her? The audacity ignited something in me, a spark catching in the hollow space where my heart used to be. "I need to go back," I said, standing suddenly. "I need clothes, my laptop, my life." "I'll come with you," Kira offered. "No," I gathered my purse. "I need to do this alone." Our apartment was silent when I unlocked the door. Evidence of the party still lingered, empty glasses on the coffee table, a forgotten scarf draped over a chair. I moved through the space like a ghost, half expecting to find them together. Instead, I found Toby asleep on the couch, his face creased with worry even in sleep. I stood watching him for a moment, this man I'd planned to marry, now a stranger. I stepped on a creaky floorboard, and his eyes snapped open. "Isabel." He sat up, relief washing over his face. "Thank God. Where have you been? I've been worried sick." Worried I'd find out more? My voice was steady, surprising me. He stood, reaching for me. I stepped back. "It's not what you think," he said, the most predictable line in the history of betrayal. "Then what is it? You've been designing intimate tattoos for my best friend for 8 months. You've been seeing her skin, touching her. What exactly am I misunderstanding?" "I'm a tattoo artist, Isabel. It's my job." I laughed, the sound sharp and unfamiliar. "Your job is at the marketing firm, with me, remember? The place you go every day in a button-down shirt with your portfolio of ad campaigns?" He ran his hands through his hair. That's just to pay the bills. The tattoo work is what I really want to do, what I've been training to do." "For how long?" 2 years. The timeline hit me like a physical blow. 2 years of lies. 2 years of him leaving for client meetings or going to the gym when he was actually... what? Apprenticing at some tattoo parlor? Practicing his art on my best friend's body? "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked, hating how small my voice sounded. "I tried, at first. Remember when I mentioned taking that art class? You said it was a waste of time when I should be focusing on getting promoted." I did remember. I'd been practical, focused on our future. The future he'd claimed to want too. "So, instead of having an adult conversation, you created a secret life and involved Hazel?" "She encouraged me to pursue it. She was just being supportive." "By offering her body as your canvas? How supportive?" I moved toward our bedroom. "I'm getting my things." He followed me. "Isabel, please, nothing happened between us." I whirled around. Nothing! Nothing! You've been seeing parts of her body I didn't even know were tattooed. You've been sharing this huge part of your life with her instead of me. That's not nothing. I yanked open drawers, grabbing clothes at random. Did you sleep with her? No, God, no, it wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. I stopped, a handful of socks clutched in my fist. Make me understand how this isn't a betrayal. He sat heavily on the bed. I was afraid to tell you about wanting to change careers. You had this vision of our future, the promotions, the house in the suburbs. I didn't know how to tell you I wanted something different. So you told Hazel instead. She saw my sketches one day when you were working late. She encouraged me to find an apprenticeship. And offered herself as your first client? The pieces were falling into place, creating a picture I couldn't bear to look at. She knew the guy who runs the shop. She helped me get in the door. I zipped my suitcase closed. How convenient. As I moved toward the door, something caught my eye on his nightstand. A small velvet pouch I'd never seen before. I grabbed it before he could stop me. Inside was a delicate silver necklace with a lotus pendant, identical to the tattoo design I'd seen in the notebook. Let me guess, I said, dangling it between us. This is for Hazel, too? His silence was answer enough. When were you planning to give this to her? Before or after our wedding? Isabel, I trusted you. My voice broke. Both of you. I dropped the necklace on the floor and walked out, my suitcase bumping down the hallway behind me. As I reached the front door, my phone buzzed with a text. It's Hazel. I'm coming over. We need to talk. I looked up to see her getting out of a car across the street, her face set with determination. Perfect timing. I had some questions for my best friend. I stood in the doorway, watching Hazel approach. 15 years of friendship walked toward me in designer jeans and a cashmere sweater that I'd helped her pick out last Christmas. Her face was a mask of concern, but I knew better now. Thank God you're okay, she said, reaching the steps. I've been worried sick. Seems to be the theme of the morning, I replied, blocking the entrance. Everyone's just so concerned about me. She faltered, noticing my suitcase. You're leaving? Already left. I stepped outside, pulling the door closed behind me. But since you're here, I have some questions. Hazel glanced nervously at the door. Is Toby? Focus on me, I snapped. For once, make this about me. Her eyes widened. In 15 years, she'd never heard that tone from me. I'd always been the peacemaker, the reasonable one, the friend who listened and understood. Not anymore. Where are they? I asked. Where are what? The tattoos. I want to see them. Color flooded her cheeks. Isabel, this isn't... Show me. My voice was steel. You owe me that much. She hesitated, then slowly rolled up her sleeve. On her inner forearm was a delicate constellation of stars, beautifully rendered. That's it? I asked. No. She reluctantly lifted the edge of her sweater, revealing an intricate floral design curving around her ribcage. And there's one on my shoulder blade, and the inner thigh one, I finished for her. She nodded, unable to meet my eyes. How many sessions did that take? How many times did you meet in secret? It wasn't like that, Isabel. It was professional. I laughed bitterly. Professional? You helped my fiancé lead a double life. You let him touch you intimately. You accepted jewelry from him. Her head snapped up. What jewelry? Don't play dumb. The lotus necklace. Confusion crossed her face. I don't know what you're talking about. Either she was an excellent actress or... I pushed the doubt away. When did it start? The tattoos? About 8 months ago, but I've been helping him with his apprenticeship for over a year. A year. While I was working late, building our future, they were building their own connection. Did you sleep with him? The question burned my throat. No, God, Isabel, no, never. Her eyes filled with tears. I would never do that to you. But everything else was fine? The lies, the secret meetings? We were going to tell you once he was established. He was afraid you'd be disappointed in him. So instead, you both decided to disappoint me together. How thoughtful. A car drove past, slowing as the driver noticed our confrontation. Hazel wiped her eyes. Can we please go somewhere and talk properly? Not on the street? Fine. I picked up my suitcase. But not inside. I can't be in there with both of you. We sat in a coffee shop 3 blocks away, my suitcase tucked beside the table. The normality of the setting, people typing on laptops, baristas calling out orders, felt surreal against the collapse of my life. Start from the beginning, I said, wrapping cold fingers around my mug. Hazel took a deep breath. Toby showed me his sketches about a year ago when you were working late. He was really talented, Isabel, but he said you'd dismissed the idea when he brought it up. I remembered the conversation, Toby mentioning art classes, me talking about his potential promotion. Had I really shut him down so completely? My cousin works at Ink Revolution, she continued. I suggested Toby talk to him about apprenticing. It started with just a few hours on weekends, but he fell in love with it. And the tattoos? He needed practice models. I volunteered. She hesitated. I thought I was helping both of you. He could pursue his passion without financial pressure because he kept his day job, while lying to me daily. He was afraid of disappointing you. I stared into my coffee. And now he's done both, lied and disappointed me. He loves you, Isabel. Does he? I looked up at her. Or does he love the idea of me, the supportive fiancé who fits into his public life while he shares his real passions with someone else? She had no answer for that. I pulled out my phone and opened a new document. I want a list, I said. A list? Every meeting, every tattoo session, every time you two were together without me knowing. Dates, times, locations. Why? Because I need to know exactly what I'm forgiving or not forgiving. My fingers hovered over the screen, and I need to know if there are other secrets. Hazel paled. What do you mean? The necklace, Hazel. If it wasn't for you, who was it for? She shook her head. I don't know. Then help me find out. I pushed my phone toward her. Start typing. As she reluctantly began listing dates, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Isabel, it's Audrey from work. I saw you with your suitcase. Everything okay? Need a place to stay? Audrey, my quiet, competent co-worker who always seemed to notice everything. I hadn't realized she lived near us. Could use a friend right now, I texted back. Her response came immediately. Doors open. 1422 Westlake Ave, Apt 3B, no questions asked. I looked up at Hazel, still documenting the timeline of betrayal. My oldest friend, my most trusted confidant, now a stranger. I have to go, I said, standing abruptly. Wait, I'm not finished. She gestured at the half-completed list. Email it to me, every detail. I grabbed my suitcase. And Hazel, don't leave anything out, because I will find out. As I walked away, another text came through from Audrey. BTW, I've never liked Toby, always thought he was hiding something. Turns out I was right. I stopped mid-step. How had Audrey seen what I had missed? And what else might she know? Audrey's apartment was minimalist and spotless, all clean lines and muted colors, nothing like the cozy chaos of the home I'd shared with Toby. She took my suitcase without comment and showed me to a spare room that looked barely used. Bathrooms across the hall. Towels in the cabinet, she said, efficient as always. I ordered Thai food. Should be here in 20. Thanks. I sat on the edge of the bed, suddenly exhausted. I don't know how long I'll need to stay. Stay as long as you want. She leaned against the doorframe, studying me with those observant eyes. So, what happened? I thought you said no questions asked. That was to get you here. A small smile played at her lips. But you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. I surprised myself by laughing. You're nothing like you are at work. Neither are you. She checked her watch. I'll let you get settled. Come out when you're ready. Alone, I unpacked my hastily gathered belongings. Mismatched socks, a single earring, 3 work blouses, but no pants. My life in disarray, just like my emotions. My phone buzzed with an email from Hazel. The subject line read, "The list complete." I couldn't bring myself to open it yet. Instead, I opened my laptop and created a new document titled, What I Know. I began typing. 1. Toby has been apprenticing as a tattoo artist for 1+ year. 2. Hazel has been helping him and getting tattoos from him. 3. There's a lotus necklace that wasn't meant for Hazel. 4. Audrey suspected something was off with Toby. I stared at the last point. How had Audrey known? What had she seen that I'd missed? The smell of Thai food eventually lured me out. Audrey was setting containers on her dining table, a bottle of wine already open. "Perfect timing," she said, pouring me a glass. "Food therapy in session." I took a seat, suddenly ravenous. "I haven't eaten since yesterday." "Breakups will do that." She passed me a container of pad thai. "Or is it a breakup? You're still wearing your ring." I looked down at my engagement ring, the diamond catching the light. I'd forgotten it was there. "I don't know what it is yet." I twisted the ring but didn't remove it. "How did you know something was wrong with Toby?" Audrey took a thoughtful bite before answering. "Little things. The way he'd check his phone when you weren't looking during office parties. How he'd mention being too busy to meet you for lunch, then I'd see him leaving the building anyway." She shrugged. "And he flirted with the new graphic designer at the Christmas party." "What?" This was new information. "With Lena?" "Nothing major. Just stood too close, laughed too hard at her jokes. But it was enough to make me wonder." I added this to my mental list. "Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me?" Her gaze was direct. "Or would you have thought I was being dramatic?" She was right. I would have dismissed it, defended him. I'd been so certain of our relationship, so confident in my understanding of the man I loved. "There's something else," Audrey said, refilling my wine. "I wasn't going to mention it, but since we're here, tell me." About 3 months ago, I saw Toby at Ink Revolution. I was getting a quote for a small tattoo, and he was there, working. He didn't see me, but I recognized him immediately. My stomach tightened. What was he doing? He was tattooing a woman, not Hazel. She hesitated. She was pretty, blonde. They seemed familiar with each other. The room tilted slightly. "Did you get a name?" "No, but I took a picture." She pulled out her phone, scrolled through her gallery, and handed it to me. "I thought you might need it someday." The photo was taken from a distance, slightly blurry, but unmistakably Toby. He was bent over a woman's shoulder, tattoo machine in hand, his face focused in concentration. The woman's face wasn't visible, just blonde hair and a bare shoulder. "Why would you take this?" I asked, my voice barely audible. "Because my ex-husband cheated on me for 2 years before I found out." Her expression hardened. "And no one had my back? I decided I'd have yours." I stared at her, this woman I'd worked beside for 3 years but never really known. "Thank you." She nodded, taking her phone back. "So, what's your plan?" "Plan? You're not the type to just walk away, Isabel. You're methodical, strategic. It's why you're so good at your job." She twirled noodles around her fork. "So what's the plan?" I hadn't thought that far ahead, but Audrey's words sparked something in me. She was right. I was strategic. And now I had information, allies, and motivation. "I need to know everything," I said slowly. "Not just about Hazel, about this blonde woman, about anyone else. I need to understand the full scope of his deception. And then? Then I decide whether to forgive or..." I trailed off. "Or make him regret ever lying to you," Audrey finished, a glint in her eye. My phone buzzed again, Keith calling. My 3rd missed call from my brother today. "I should take this," I said, standing. "Of course, I'll clean up." I stepped onto Audrey's small balcony and answered. "Isabel, finally." Keith's voice was tight with concern. "Toby called me. He's worried sick. What's going on?" "Did he tell you about his secret career? About tattooing my best friend for months? About the mystery blonde?" Silence. Then, "What blonde?" "Exactly." I leaned against the railing, watching the city lights come on as dusk fell. "There's more to this than I thought, Keith, and I'm going to find out everything." "Be careful, Isabel. Revenge isn't worth destroying yourself over." I looked through the window at Audrey, who was typing something on her laptop with intense focus. "I'm not destroying myself," I said. I'm finally seeing clearly, and I'm not alone. As I hung up, a notification appeared. An email from Lena, the graphic designer. Heard what happened. I have information you might want. Coffee tomorrow? The pieces were starting to align, connections forming that I'd never seen before. Whatever Toby had been hiding, it was bigger than just tattoos and Hazel, and I was going to uncover every last secret. I met Lena at a coffee shop far from our office, choosing a corner table with a view of the door. She arrived exactly on time, her sleek dark hair pulled back, eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. Thanks for meeting me, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. No preamble, no small talk. I'd always appreciated that about her, even when we'd been competing for the same accounts. Your email was intriguing. I pushed a coffee toward her. I'd remembered she took it black. What information do you have? She wrapped her fingers around the mug but didn't drink. First, I need to know something. Are you and Toby over? The question caught me off guard. I don't see how that's relevant. It's entirely relevant. Her gaze was steady. Because what I'm about to tell you could ensure it's over, and I need to know if that's what you want. I studied her face, searching for ulterior motives. Lena and I had a complex relationship, professional respect mixed with rivalry. We'd never been friends. I don't know what I want yet, I admitted, but I need the truth. She nodded, seemingly satisfied. Toby came on to me at the Christmas party. Audrey mentioned that. What she didn't see was what happened after. Lena pulled out her phone, scrolled briefly, then placed it face down on the table. He followed me to the coat room, said he'd always found me attractive, that things with you were... She hesitated. Complicated. My throat tightened. Did you sleep with him? No. She looked offended. I have standards, Isabel. I told him to go home to his girlfriend. Fiancé, I corrected automatically, then felt ridiculous. He wasn't wearing a ring then. She tapped her phone. But that's not why I contacted you. After I rejected him, I started noticing things. He'd watch me during meetings, send me texts that were just professional enough to seem innocent but felt off. Show me, I said. She slid her phone across the table. The messages were exactly as she described. Comments about her presentations, questions about clients that didn't quite need asking, suggestions to grab lunch to discuss strategy. I kept documentation in case I needed to report him, she explained. Then last month I saw him at Ink Revolution with a blonde woman. They were very intimate. My heart pounded. The tattoo shop. You know about that? I'm learning more every day. I handed back her phone. Did you get the blonde's name? Better. Lena pulled up another photo and showed me. I got a picture of them kissing outside. The image was clear. Toby with his arms around a slender blonde woman, their lips pressed together. My stomach lurched, but I forced myself to look closer. Something about her seemed familiar. Can you send me this? She hesitated. What are you going to do with it? I don't know yet. I met her eyes. But I deserve to know who she is. Fair enough. She forwarded the photo. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. No one deserves this. As she stood to leave, I asked, Why are you helping me? We've never exactly been friends. Lena adjusted her bag on her shoulder. Because women should have each other's backs, and because I've been where you are. She gave me a small, sad smile. Good luck, Isabel. After she left, I sat staring at the photo, zooming in on the blonde woman's profile. The nagging familiarity wouldn't leave me. I'd seen her somewhere before. It's her, Audrey confirmed that evening, comparing Lena's photo to the one she'd taken in the tattoo shop. Same woman. We sat at her dining table, which had become our war room, covered with printouts of text messages, emails, and photos. Hazel's list lay open on my laptop, dates, times, and locations of every meeting with Toby over the past year. But who is she? I scrolled through my phone contacts, searching for a clue. I feel like I've seen her before. Maybe she's connected to the tattoo shop? Audrey suggested. Another artist or client? My phone rang. Keith again. I'd been avoiding his calls all day. I should take this, I said, stepping into the kitchen. Isabel, Keith's voice was tight. We need to talk. In person. I'm busy right now. It's important. It's about Toby and the woman you mentioned. My heart skipped. You know who she is? A heavy pause. Yes, and you're not going to like it. Tell me. Not over the phone. Meet me at my place in an hour. He hung up before I could argue. I returned to the dining table, mind racing. I need to go see my brother, I told Audrey. He says he knows who the blonde is. Want me to come with you? I considered it. No, but keep digging. See if you can find anything about the lotus necklace. As I grabbed my coat, my phone buzzed with a text from Toby. Please come home. I miss you. We can work this out. Followed immediately by one from Hazel. Toby's a mess. Please talk to him. This has gone far enough. The coordinated messages made my blood boil. Were they together right now, comparing notes on how to handle me? You okay? Audrey asked, noting my expression. They're still working together, I said, showing her the messages. Still a united front. Then you need to be smarter than both of them. She handed me my purse. Go see what your brother knows. Keith's apartment was only 15 minutes away, but the drive felt endless. What did he know? How was he connected to this? He opened the door before I could knock, his face grim. Come in. Just tell me, I said, remaining in the doorway. Who is she? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. It's Melissa. The name hit me like a physical blow. Melissa? Your ex-girlfriend, Melissa? He nodded, unable to meet my eyes. How long have you known? I just found out. Toby called me yesterday, confessed everything. He's been seeing her for months. The betrayal doubled, tripled in an instant. Not just my fiancé and my best friend, but my brother's ex-girlfriend too. The woman who'd broken Keith's heart 2 years ago. Why her? I whispered, the pieces still not fitting together. Keith finally looked at me, his expression a mixture of guilt and resignation. Because she's pregnant, Isabel. And Toby's the father. The world tilted beneath my feet. I gripped the doorframe to steady myself. Pregnant, I repeated, the word hollow in my mouth. Keith reached for me, but I stepped back. How far along? My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. 4 months. 4 months. While Toby was planning our wedding, while he was sleeping beside me every night, while I was picking out venues and tasting cakes. Did you know? I asked, searching Keith's face. Before yesterday, did you know they were involved? No. He looked genuinely pained. I swear, Isabel, I would have told you. I believed him, but it didn't matter. Nothing mattered except the crushing weight of this new betrayal. I need to sit down. Keith guided me to his couch. My legs moved automatically, my mind racing to recalculate everything I thought I knew. Toby said it was a mistake, Keith offered, as if that could possibly help. A one-time thing that turned into, Stop, I held up my hand. I don't need his version filtered through you. Keith fell silent. I stared at the coffee table, noticing a water ring that hadn't been wiped away. Such a small imperfection in a suddenly imperfect world. Why did he tell you? I finally asked. Because Melissa's been pressuring him to come clean before you found out another way. Keith hesitated. And because I think he's genuinely sorry. I laughed, a sharp sound that hurt my throat. Sorry he did it, or sorry he got caught? Both, probably. I pulled out my phone and opened the photo Lena had sent me. The blonde woman, Melissa, kissing Toby outside the tattoo shop. Last month, well into her pregnancy. This doesn't look like a one-time mistake to me, I said, showing Keith the photo. His face darkened as he recognized his ex-girlfriend in Toby's arms. Jesus. Yeah, I took the phone back. So much for remorse. What are you going to do? The question hung between us. What was I going to do? The answer came with surprising clarity. I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly who they've been protecting. Back at Audrey's apartment, I laid out everything I'd learned. She listened without interruption, her expression growing increasingly outraged. So Hazel knew about the pregnancy? She asked when I finished. I don't know for certain, but it seems likely. The three of them have been coordinating their stories. I pulled up Hazel's list on my laptop. Look at these dates. Several meetings where both Hazel and Toby were supposedly at Ink Revolution coincide with Melissa's prenatal appointments. Audrey's eyes widened. How do you know her appointment schedule? Keith dated her for 2 years. He still has access to their shared calendar. I scrolled through the list. They were using the tattoo shop as cover, and Hazel was helping. That's... Audrey shook her head. I don't even have words. I do. I closed my laptop with a snap. Betrayal, conspiracy, lies. My phone buzzed with a text from Hazel. We need to talk, just us. Please, Isabel. I showed Audrey. What do you think? I think it's a trap. She crossed her arms. They're panicking because they know you're putting the pieces together. Another text arrived, this time from Toby. I know Keith told you. I can explain everything. Please come home. They're coordinating again, I muttered. Divide and conquer. So don't let them. Audrey leaned forward. Meet them on your terms, not theirs. The idea took root immediately. You're right. No more reacting, no more running. I texted Hazel back. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., the Overlook. The Overlook was a rooftop bar downtown, public enough to prevent a scene, private enough for an honest conversation. More importantly, it was neutral territory. Hazel responded immediately. Just me? Just you, I confirmed. To Toby, I wrote, I'll be home Saturday to get more of my things. We can talk then. His reply came seconds later. I'll be waiting. I love you. The words that once would have warmed me now left me cold. What's your plan? Audrey asked. I looked at the evidence spread across her dining table, photos, messages, timelines. The story they told was clear. First, I meet with Hazel, alone. I need to know exactly what she knew and when. And then? Then I confront Toby, with everything. Audrey studied me. What do you hope to achieve? The question caught me off guard. What did I want? Revenge? Justice? Closure? I want the truth, I said finally. All of it, and I want them to know that I know. And after that? I hadn't thought beyond the confrontation, beyond the moment when I would lay out their betrayal in irrefutable detail. I don't know, I admitted. I just know I can't move forward until I've faced this. My phone rang. Keith again. Toby just called me, he said when I answered. He knows I told you about Melissa. He's furious. Let him be. Isabel, he sounded desperate. I'm worried about what he might do. What do you mean? Keith's voice lowered. He said if you won't talk to him, he'll make sure everyone knows his side of the story first. Is that a threat? I think it's a warning. He mentioned something about the company party tomorrow night. The annual office party, where everyone from work would be gathered, including senior management, where reputations could be made or destroyed with a few well-placed words. Thanks for the heads up, I said, my mind already racing. As I hung up, Audrey raised an eyebrow. Problem? Change of plans, I said, a cold determination settling over me. We're going to a party tomorrow night. The company party? Are you sure that's wise? I looked at the photo of Toby kissing Melissa, at Hazel's detailed list of deceptions, at the text messages coordinating their stories. No more hiding, I said. No more secrets. If Toby wants to tell his story, he'll have to do it with me there, with all the evidence. The time for careful investigation was over. Tomorrow night, everything would come to a head. And I would be ready. The company party was in full swing when Audrey and I arrived. The rooftop venue glittered with string lights, the city skyline a perfect backdrop for what would either be my professional suicide or my reclamation of truth. I'd chosen my outfit carefully, a black dress I'd never worn before, nothing Toby had seen or touched. He's by the bar, Audrey murmured, nodding discreetly. I followed her gaze. Toby stood with a group of colleagues, drink in hand, laughing at something someone had said. He looked exactly the same, handsome, charming, completely at ease, as if he hadn't destroyed everything we'd built together. I don't see Hazel, I said, scanning the crowd. She texted to say she's running late. Audrey checked her phone. She still thinks you're meeting at the Overlook after this. Good. I took a deep breath. Let's circulate. I want to get a feel for the room before he notices me. We moved through the party, accepting drinks, exchanging pleasantries. Several colleagues asked about my absence from work, their concerned expressions suggesting rumors had already begun spreading. Just taking some personal time, I told them, with a practiced smile. I felt Toby's eyes on me before I saw him. A prickling awareness that had once been comforting but now set my nerves on edge. When I finally turned, he was watching me from across the room, his expression a mixture of surprise and apprehension. "He's coming over," Audrey warned. "Let him." I straightened my shoulders. "Stay close, but give us space." Toby approached slowly, as if afraid I might bolt. "Isabel, I didn't expect to see you here." "Clearly." I sipped my drink, grateful for its steadying effect. "You thought I'd be waiting at the Overlook for Hazel." His eyes widened slightly. "You know about that." "I know everything, Toby." I kept my voice low, controlled. "About Melissa, about the baby, about how you and Hazel have been coordinating your stories." He glanced around nervously. "Can we talk somewhere private?" "Why? Afraid someone might overhear the truth?" "Please, Isabel." His voice cracked slightly. "Not like this." For a moment, I wavered. The pain in his eyes looked genuine. The man I'd loved for 3 years stood before me, asking for mercy I wasn't sure I could give. "Fine," I said. "The terrace. 2 minutes." I walked away without waiting for his response, needing those 2 minutes to steady myself. The terrace was quieter, the cool night air a relief after the crowded party. I leaned against the railing, looking out at the city lights that seemed to mirror the chaos of my thoughts. "You came." Toby's voice behind me. I turned to face him. "I want to hear you say it. All of it. No more lies." He ran a hand through his hair, a gesture so familiar it made my chest ache. "I messed up, Isabel. Badly." "That's not specific enough." "I've been seeing Melissa," he admitted, his voice low. "It started as a one-night stand at a tattoo convention 8 months ago. I was drunk, she was there, and I made a terrible mistake." "A mistake you repeated," I said, thinking of the photo of them kissing. "Many times." He winced. "Yes, it became complicated. When she told me she was pregnant—" "4 months ago," I interrupted, "while we were planning our wedding." I panicked. His eyes pleaded for understanding. "I didn't know what to do. I loved you. I still love you. But there was a baby, and I couldn't just—" "So you decided to marry me anyway? While planning a separate life with her?" "No, I mean, yes, but it wasn't like that." He stepped closer. "I was trying to figure out how to tell you, how to not lose you." "And Hazel? What was her role in all this?" He hesitated. "She found out accidentally. Saw texts from Melissa on my phone. She's been helping me figure things out. Helping you lie to me," I corrected. "Helping me find a way to tell you the truth without destroying everything." I laughed bitterly. How noble of her. Movement caught my eye. Hazel had arrived, scanning the party. Our eyes met across the room, and I saw the moment she realized what was happening. She started toward us, her face pale. "She's here," I noted. Right on cue. Toby turned, spotting Hazel. "This isn't what we planned." "No, it isn't." I pulled out my phone. "Your plan was to manage me, control the narrative, but here's what you didn't count on." I showed him the screen, the photo of him kissing Melissa outside the tattoo shop. "Where did you get that?" His voice was barely audible. "It doesn't matter. What matters is that I have it, along with evidence of every meeting, every lie, every person involved in your deception." Hazel reached us, breathless. "Isabel, please, don't." I held up my hand. "I trusted you with everything, my friendship, my secrets, my insecurities, and you used all of it against me." "That's not true," she protested. "I was trying to protect you." "By helping him hide a pregnancy? By covering for his affair? That's not protection, Hazel. That's betrayal." People had begun to notice our confrontation, heads turning, conversations quieting. Exactly what Toby had feared. "Isabel," he pleaded, reaching for my arm, "let's not do this here." I stepped back out of his reach. "No more hiding, no more secrets." "What do you want?" His voice was desperate now. "Tell me what you want, and I'll do it." What did I want? The question echoed in my mind. Revenge? Humiliation? Neither seemed sufficient for the depth of their betrayal. "I want the truth," I said finally. "Not just for me, but for everyone who trusted you, both of you." I turned to face the party, raising my voice just enough to be heard by those nearby. "My fiancé has an announcement to make," I said clearly, "about his new baby and his girlfriend, Melissa." The room fell silent, all eyes turning to us. Toby's face drained of color. Hazel covered her mouth with her hand. In that moment of perfect stillness, I felt something shift inside me, not satisfaction, not even vindication, but a profound sense of finally standing in my truth. "Your turn," I told Toby quietly. "No more lies." The silence that followed my words seemed to stretch into infinity. Toby stood frozen, his face a mask of panic and shame. Hazel's eyes darted around the room, taking in the shocked expressions of our colleagues, the whispers beginning to ripple through the crowd. "I can't," Toby whispered, his voice breaking. "Not like this." "Then I will." I turned to face our audience, my heart hammering but my voice steady. "My fiancé has been having an affair with my brother's ex-girlfriend. She's pregnant with his child, and my best friend has been helping them hide it from me." The collective gasp was almost theatrical. I watched understanding dawn on faces around the room, the sudden clarity explaining my absence, Toby's recent distraction, the tension that had been building in our department for weeks. "That's not the whole story," Toby protested, finding his voice at last. "It's more complicated." "Then explain," I challenged him. "Tell everyone how you managed to plan our wedding while preparing for a child with another woman. Explain how that's complicated, rather than simply cruel." He had no answer. In the corner of my eye, I saw our CEO watching with undisguised interest. Lena stood nearby, her expression a mixture of vindication and sympathy. "I never meant to hurt you," Hazel said, tears streaming down her face. "I thought if I could help him find the right way to tell you." "There is no right way to tell someone their entire relationship is a lie," I cut in. "And there's certainly no justification for my best friend facilitating that lie." Movement at the entrance caught my attention. A blonde woman stepped onto the rooftop, her baby bump visible beneath a fitted dress. Melissa. She scanned the crowd until her eyes landed on our tableau. "Perfect timing," I said, loud enough for her to hear. "The whole cast is here now." Toby followed my gaze, his face draining of what little color remained. "Melissa, what are you doing here?" She approached slowly, all eyes following her progress. "Hazel called me, said things were falling apart, that I needed to come." Of course Hazel had called her, one last desperate attempt to control the situation. "Did she tell you I know everything?" I asked Melissa directly. "About the affair, the pregnancy, the lotus necklace?" Melissa's hand went instinctively to her throat, where the silver lotus pendant now hung. "I never wanted to be the other woman, Isabel. You have to believe that." "What I believe doesn't matter anymore." I stepped back, creating distance between myself and the three of them. "What matters is the truth, and now everyone knows it." The party had completely stopped, all pretense of normal socializing abandoned as people watched our drama unfold. I should have felt embarrassed or exposed. Instead, I felt lighter with each passing moment, as if the weight of their deception was finally lifting from my shoulders. "So what happens now?" Toby asked, his voice small. I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time since discovering his betrayal. The man I'd loved, the future I'd planned, the trust I'd given so completely, all gone. "Now I walk away," I said simply, "from all of you." "Just like that?" Hazel's voice cracked. 15 years of friendship and you're done? You ended our friendship the moment you chose to protect him instead of telling me the truth." I met her eyes steadily. "That was your choice, Hazel. This is mine." I turned to leave, but Toby grabbed my arm. Wait, please. There's something you should know. I think I know enough. No. His grip tightened. There's more. About the tattoo shop. A chill ran through me. What about it? It's not just a side job, it's... He swallowed hard. It's money laundering. For Melissa's brother. That's how I got involved so quickly, how I got clients right away. The tattoos are real, but the business isn't. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Not just a betrayal of our relationship, but actual criminal activity. I looked at Melissa, saw the fear in her eyes confirming Toby's words. That's why you couldn't just walk away, I realized. Why you kept the secret even after she got pregnant. He nodded miserably. I'm in too deep. I pulled my arm from his grasp, a strange calm settling over me. That's your problem now, not mine. Isabel, please. No. I stepped back, addressing all three of them. You made your choices. Now you live with them. I turned and walked toward the exit, aware of every eye on me, every whispered comment. Audrey fell into step beside me, her presence a silent support. You okay? She asked quietly. Not yet, I admitted, but I will be. As we reached the door, I paused, turning back one last time. Toby stood with Melissa, his arm around her shoulders. Hazel stood apart, looking lost and small. The tableau of my past, already receding. Keith appeared in the doorway, concern etched on his face. Isabel, Audrey called me. Perfect timing, I said, managing a small smile. I could use a ride. Where to? I considered the question. Not back to Audrey's, not to my old apartment, not to any place connected to the life I was leaving behind. I don't know yet, I said honestly. Somewhere new. As we stepped into the elevator, I removed my engagement ring and dropped it into my purse, the weight of it gone, like so many other weights I'd carried. For what it's worth, Keith said as the doors closed. I'm proud of you. For humiliating my fiancé at a company party? For standing in your truth, no matter how much it hurt. The elevator descended, each floor taking me further from the rooftop drama and closer to whatever came next. I didn't know what that would be, where I would live, how I would rebuild, who I would become without the relationships that had defined me for so long. But for the first time since finding that notebook, I felt something like peace. Not happiness, not yet, but the quiet certainty that I had faced the worst betrayal and remained standing. You know what's strange? I said as we reached the lobby. I thought exposing them would feel like revenge, but it just feels like freedom. Keith squeezed my shoulder. That's how you know you did it right. We stepped out into the night, the city spread before us with all its possibilities. Behind me lay the wreckage of broken trust and shattered plans. Ahead lay something else, something entirely my own. I took a deep breath of the cool night air and started walking.